What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today I'll be analyzing my AP Lit project, Sonnet to Disappointment. Today is May 2nd. I'm recording this right before prom day, so it's really excited for that. But yeah, it's probably going to be my last project before the end of high school, before graduation, so I really want to get this video recorded and put out there. So without further ado, let's get on to it. Just first out, I'm going to read out my sonnets. It's going to be Sonnet to Disappointment by Helen Maria Williams. It was wrote in 1823. So, pale disappointment, I thy freezing name, chill fears in every shivering vein I prove. My sinking pulse almost forgets to move, and life almost forsakes my languid frame. Yet thee, relentless nymph, no more I blame. Why do my thoughts midst vain illusions rove? Why gild the charms of friendship and love with the warm glow of fancy purple's flame? When ruffling winds have some bright fane overthrown, which shone on painted clouds are seen to shine, shall the fond gazer dream for him alone? Those clouds were sable, and at fate repine. I feel, alas, the fault is all my own, and the cruel punishment is mine. So to analyze at a surface level, when I first read it, the speaker, in my opinion, was describing like a strong emotion to reaction to a disappointment, right? So the speaker's emotions to her disappointment was so strong it causes like a physical emotional collapse in her persona. She's not necessarily blaming the disappointment itself, as you can see, it's like a shift in the poem in the sonnet, but rather her own unrealistic hopes and love and friendship. To analyze the sonnet, we'll analyze the rhyme scheme. So the rhyme scheme for the octave is going to be like an A, B, B, A, B, B, A. And for the sustat, it's going to be C, D, C, D, C, D. So this is kind of like a variation of like a Italian sonnet in both structure and rhyme. For some vocabulary words I did not know when I first read this. It was languid. Languid means like to be weak or faint. Feign means like a temple or a shrine. Sable means to be less black or dark in color. And then repine means express sadness. For deeper literary analysis, the form of the sonnet, so it's likely Italian with 14 lines and a turning point around line 9. The turning point is known as volta, but we'll get to that later in the analysis. So the tone, like it shifts from fear and emotional devastation to like a self-awareness and accountability. That's whenever the change in poem happens with the volta, right? Some literary devices I can see in a poem, like personification. Disappointment is like a relentless nymph, so it's giving like personality traits of disappointment. And then imagery is like shivering rain, purple flame, painted clouds. These are things that we can see. And there's metaphors. There's comparing disappointment to a ruinous wind that topples a bright fane. The fane is kind of like the temple of hope or love, right? So disappointment is kind of toppling those emotions of those positive emotions of hope and love. And in Volta, the turn around line 9, it shifts from blaming disappointment to blaming herself. So she has kind of like a self-realization that maybe it's kind of her fault for being disappointed. So she's not disillusioned that her disappointment is not her fault in a sense, right? The sonnet has a theme of like personal responsibility and the cost of idealizing love and friendship. So she's aware her disappointment is kind of her fault, so that's what I was talking about in Volta. That's like the shift. Her idolizing the love and friendship and being disappointed because of that is like the whole reason this sonnet was kind of wrote. To get some background context to the sonnet, so the poet Helen Maria Williams, 1759 to 1827, was an English poet known for her support of the French Revolution. So during that time, French Revolution was going on, and often wrote an emotional depth and political theme. So a lot of her work was related back to the French Revolution or related to that context. She was like a romantic era figure who emphasized subjective experience and intense emotion. A lot of her poems and sonnet was relating to like intense emotions she felt. Helen Maria Williams, her life experiences with loss, displacement, and idealism, I cannot say that word, I was gone, may mirror the emotional depth of the sonnet. So historical context, so like I said before, this was during a time of the French Revolution, right? So like late Romantic era in England, we learned about the Romantic era earlier in the class in AP Lit. So the themes of the emotional intensity and the turmoil and individual responsibilities were key during that era. You can kind of see that in the sonnet as well. And in the context of the French Revolution, obviously, as we spoke in the last slide, she may be like channeling not just her personal loss that she had or experiences she had during the French Revolution, but also like her disappointment in the national and political side of her country, right? So a lot of the citizens at that time weren't truly proud of what's going on in their country. So maybe that kind of disappointment was also kind of shown through this sonnet as well. Lastly, here are some MLA citations. I have some sources I use. From the Poet Foundation, the context of Helen Maria Williams, her dictionary to look at the words I don't know, and then lastly, to analyze more the structure of Italian sonnets, I also looked at sonnets as well. So yeah, I think that's all, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and peace.